Yeah, I was getting ready to leave. The anti um, Michael Bloomberg rally is over, and it was amazing. We had over 300 people outside this building, uh, heavily armed, heavily armed. Even children with their own AR-15s and 22 caliber rifles, um, with their parents, of course. But it was like every Second Amendment rally I've been to in this city anyway, and I've been to a few. It was enthusiastic, polite, um, well mannered. All of the things that are not associated with people who carry carry firearms, carry guns. And I mean, I was surrounded. I mean, you guys know my politics. I mean, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a MAGA wearing red hat guy. Um, and, I, I'm not a religious person, right? I believe in gay. I mean, so I'm a progressive liberal and a fiscal conservative in general, but I'm a constitutionalist 100%. So, and that becomes important. And why is because while I'm walking around the crowd, right, for example, um, this office is literally down the street from the homeless services. And so you had, a mix of homeless people going back and forth. And one guy was walking by. Clearly, he was off his lithium or whatever, right? But he was energetic, and he wanted to engage the crowd. And so um, people would actually listen to him and talk to him, but it was out of compassion because the cheese was sliding off the cracker, if you know what I mean. But he was handled in a very gracious way, if you know what I'm saying. Um, Other times there were people in wheelchairs, and the sidewalk is not big. The sidewalk was small, and you could just hear the make a hole, so that the wheelchair person could go about their business and pass through the crowd. It was marvelous. Nobody had to tell anybody to do that. Uh, Nobody got into the street and obstructed traffic. Right, everyone was very thoughtful about not getting in the way of traffic because it was on the main drag coming into town. But what I found important, I was standing in a crowd, and I was having a conversation with a guy. I just struck up a conversation, and he mentioned Trump 2020, and I responded, well, I'm not a Trump supporter, and he was a stereotypically looking gun guy, right? But the response was, well, his response was, well, Trump has done some, he's made some people mad because his Twitter suck, and so he's going down the line of some things that Trump has done wrong. And I said, well, here's my issue, right? And I explained to him that I'm a combat veteran in Vietnam, and I worry because he owns all the guns, and that he doesn't like to be controlled, but the nature of our country is that you must be controlled. Now, what became fascinating is the look on this guy's face. He was getting it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he was understanding that, because I wasn't trying to be an asshole, nor was he in his responses. So here you have two people, me and this guy, on differing in terms of official political view, but having a conversation and coming to more agreement than disagreement about things. And the primary reason was because we stayed focused on the meaning of the Constitution and what the rights are and what the responsibilities are of a president, of the judiciary, of the legislature, and that there must be controls, and that is the one thing that causes me harm. And I said, now, what do you think happens if he gets froggy and does something really crazy, and he has the full potential to be crazy? And the guy acknowledged that. I said, well, if the Joint Chiefs together go, sorry, we're not going to follow that order. I said, now, I mean, yes, the president has a right to fire people, but you can't eliminate the Joint Chiefs. They do that in banana republics. And you could see, you see what I'm saying? So you could see the look, the guy change. And what was even more important for you folks to understand, is that we were both heavily armed. Yeah. And the unspoken rule, and I said this a lot, the unspoken rule is, don't touch yours, I won't touch mine. And we're smiling and having a conversation. My point is, that is the way it can be on a broader scale, and that is the way it should be. And I don't know how to get that message across. It's almost like you had to have been there to see the energy in the crowd and understand my political position and still be accepted by the people there, because I was accepting of them, because we were focused and committed on a constitutional right. So more of that needs to happen. More thoughtful conversation, not selling points, not badgering, not bullshit conversations that you hear from some marketing people on a campaign, but real concerned, thoughtful discussion among people. And I know it's possible. I mean, it demonstrated, and this is more than once. So if you're out there, do a couple things. Get involved to communicate with your other Second Amendment supporters as well as politicians that represent you. 2, don't be afraid to have an honest, thoughtful conversation about your view with someone who may not have that view. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to stand to be bullied by somebody who wants to yell at you and do crazy stuff. But there are people out there, and everyone has some ideas. Everyone can and should be listened to. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I know it matters, because before I left, because I said I had to go and do some other things, he stopped me and he put his hand and he says, thanks so much. We shook hands. He said, thanks so much. This was a great conversation. So try it. And as always, thanks for watching. Carry on.